Hello, everyone, and welcome to the National Black MBA Association's Wednesday webinar series. Thank you for joining us. Before we get started, I would like to take a moment to acquaint you with a few features of this web event technology. At any time, you may adjust your audio using your computer volume settings. On the right-hand side of your screen, you will see the Q&A window. To submit a question, type your question in the small text box at the bottom, and when finished, click the Send button. You may do this at any time during the program. All questions that you submit are only seen by today's presenters. Questions will be responded to in the order in which they were received and will be addressed at the end of the presentation. However, please note that due to time constraints, our panel may not respond to all questions submitted. For a better viewing experience, you may also click on the Scale to Fit or Zoom In options in the upper right-hand area of the room. At this time, I would like to introduce our keynote speaker, Megan Pitts.
Great. Thank you so much, Tyler, and good evening, perhaps afternoon, to each of you on the webinar, depending where you're calling in from, and welcome. We are so excited to speak with you all and really thank you for spending the next hour and a half or so in this portion of your evening and day with us. My job is actually going to be to give an overview of Johnson & Johnson, a bit about who we are, what we do, and potentially how you all can be a part of it. But before I dive into that, I just want to share a little bit about my background. As Tyler said, my name is Megan Pitts. And I was actually thinking earlier today that it's been just about 10 years today that I was preparing to attend National Black MBA as a rising second-year student at UNC Chapel Hill, Kenneth Flagler Business School. Go Hills for any Tar Heels on the phone. So very much identify with the excitement and hopefully healthy anxiety that you all are experiencing as you really consider launching into your post-MBA career. So I started my post-MBA career at Johnson & Johnson and have been with the company the past 9 years, spending 7 of those years in consumer marketing and the past 2 years in an enterprise role focused on strategic marketing of our Johnson & Johnson enterprise brand. And much of the work I do now in the strategic marketing really lifts up the way that we are delivering on our credo as an organization and our social impact work around the world. So with that said, I will actually go ahead and Crystal, we can go to the first slide and jump into our overview presentation. Thank you. So one of the most important questions I'm sure that many of you are asking and will be asking as you go into your career journey and search is really finding an opportunity that aligns with your passions. And it's one thing at Johnson & Johnson that we really hone in on and think that it's very core to really figuring out where you fit and where you contribute to a great organization. And for us, that's really being rooted and grounded in knowing your passion, the areas that really excite you and where you have some purpose, right, where your drive comes from. Being able to really assess and understand the culture of an organization, and I hope that much of what I'll share with you all in this presentation gives you a flavor of our culture at Johnson & Johnson, and then really figuring out whether or not those two things align. And we find that when those things match up, and very much at J&J, we are looking to ensure that there's a syncing happening with passion and where you find yourself in the organization, that the contribution and the impact that we all make can really be phenomenal. So the way that we're going to go through this part of our conversation and this presentation is really through the lens of our credo. And you can go to the next slide, Crystal, on slide 3. And some of you may have actually heard of our credo. And for us, it really is the guiding post and what we use to make the most important and even the smallest day-to-day decisions within our organization. Our credo really is our mission statement and very core to, I have never met a Johnson & Johnson employee that does not know what the credo is. So that is how important it is and how steeped into the fabric of our culture and organization the credo is. And there's 4 components of our credo. The first talks about our customers that we serve. The second is about our employees and our culture. The third is the communities that we live and work in, both locally and globally. And the fourth is actually, if we do those first 3 things well, we believe that we'll make a great return for our shareholders. The financial return will be great. So we're going to go through this conversation through that lens of our credo. And if we go to slide 4, we'll actually talk a little bit about that first portion of our credo, which is really about serving our consumers and our customers, the mothers, the fathers, the nurses, the doctors that use our products and that are actually on the receiving end of our businesses. And within this part of our credo, it really focuses on the businesses, right, and what we actually do day to day to serve our consumers. We do have 3 business segments. We sometimes refer to those as sectors. The first is consumer. That's my home within Johnson & Johnson, where I've spent most of my career, and we'll have a little bit more of a deeper dive on each of these even after this presentation. The second is pharmaceuticals, and the third is medical device. And I'll just give a very top-line overview of each of these businesses, and then we'll have, again, a bit more texture throughout the rest of the webinar. So if we go to slide 5, we'll see within our consumer business, and this is the part of our business that many people are often familiar with, right? The everyday brands that some of you may have in your homes or maybe have grown up on, from Johnson's Baby to everything within oral health, which is the last brand that I worked on, Listerine, within consumer. And our mission and vision in consumer is really around allowing the people that use our products and that who we serve for innovative solutions to allow them to live healthier, more vibrant lives, right? It's the everyday experience you have in your life where you can really, truly be at your best. So if it's skincare or oral health or managing acute pain, looking to ensure that we do that in our consumer portfolio as best as possible. Our consumer segment sales in 2017 was just a little bit over $13 billion. And so many of our brands are leaders in their respective categories, and we're constantly, again, looking to innovate and drive the way that we meet these consumer needs for the future through our portfolio. We go down to slide 6, just a little bit about our pharmaceutical segment. Our pharmaceutical business, really the work, and I've learned a lot more over the past year about a lot of the amazing work we do in our pharmaceutical business, and it is really transformational, right? This is where there is life-saving and life-transforming things happening that really restore health and give hope to the people, again, that we're serving around the world. Our pharmaceutical segment is driven to deliver medicines that really prolong and improve people's lives. And you can think about, again, how transformational that is, everything from cancer to HIV, and many of the infectious diseases that we're working on daily to really find treatment and even cures for. And in 2017, this represented just a little bit over $36 billion of our financial segment within our corporation, and we have been experiencing quite a bit of growth in this part of our business as we, again, try to look for not only treatment but cures across these different treatment areas and infectious disease states. Immunology, neuroscience, oncology, cardiovascular, really focusing on, all of the very key territories when you think about, again, transformational health and what's necessary to hopefully, again, live a healthier and more vibrant life given some of the conditions that our consumers may be facing. And if we go to slide 7, this gives a little bit of an overview of our medical device segment. This is the part of our credo in that first section that starts to hone in a little bit more deeply on our doctors, our nurses, who are often the ones using, right, in the operating room, et cetera, many of the medical devices that we actually develop. Again, can see some of the territories that we serve in. We are the #1 global leader in surgery and orthopedics. And if you've been in a surgery room, you've probably been exposed to one of our medical devices. So very broad reach here. In 2017, this represented just a little bit over $26 billion for our enterprise. So again, a very substantial portion of what we're doing in the marketplace and how we are looking to drive and impact the world of health. And on the next slide, it's just a little bit of a sampling, if you will, of some of the recent acquisitions we've made across these different business segments, just as a proof point to show that we're constantly looking for the next solution, really assessing different categories of health that really need to have innovation and transformation, and how we may be best positioned to bring that to the world, to the marketplace. So everything from our Vogue International portfolio, which we recently joined in our consumer business several years ago, they're down in Jacksonville, Florida, to an acquisition that we recently made with Abbott Medical Optics, Eye health is actually a very important and growing category in health, not just in the U.S., but across the world. To an acquisition we made, actually a $30 billion investment in a company called Actelion, all the way to how we're trying to figure out, with all the great information and data that's now coming around natural solutions and products, where is the best place for us to provide solutions and play there. So that's just a very high-level overview and snapshot of our three business sectors and businesses, and again, how each of them really contribute and play their role when it comes to us delivering on that first portion of our credo. Okay. And the second portion of our credo is really focused, and you'll see on slide 9, on our employees and the culture that we build for the people that work at Johnson & Johnson across the world. I'll go down to slide 10 and actually highlight a little bit of what really helps shape the culture that we have at Johnson & Johnson and how we are looking to support, develop, and grow the employees that we work here. And it's multifaceted, right, what really helps shape your experience as an employee in the organization that you work in. Everything from flexible work arrangements. I'm actually doing this webinar from my home office so that I can go have dinner with my husband right after. I'm sure many of my colleagues as well. To ensuring that as you move throughout your career, there's support. So we have a lot of focus on mentorship and ensuring that you have sponsors and champions to help develop and navigate throughout your career. One of the really unique things that is available within Johnson & Johnson is the breadth of experiences you can really get throughout your career. We like to say you can almost have a career within a career because there's so many different parts of the world of health and healthcare that you can really get exposed to. And that really, takes, again, some navigating and support from the organization and your personal network to ensure that you can take advantage of those cross-business or even cross-global moves that really help to develop and expose you as a leader. There is a recognition for growth. I'm actually participating now in a women's leadership development program, pretty much the best development program I've actually been through in my career, but it's focused on really providing additional support and rising up diverse women leadership throughout our organization and helping to build a network to establish and really move that forward. So a number of different platforms and programs that really, again, focus on that advancement and ensuring that your leadership can be visible. We're a very large company, about 130,000 employees across the world. We have about 250 operating companies that were placed and kind of scattered, from a geographical perspective. So ensuring that your work, your potential, your passion areas and points of contribution have some visibility to leadership, again, that can assist in your career trajectory and growth. Okay. And if we move on to slide 11, a lot of the great opportunities that present themselves within J&J have been recognized in a lot of really great organizations. And that's something we're very proud of, to really be counted among the leaders within industry of an organization that supports diversity and inclusion. We actually ranked number one in the past ranking of Diversity Inc.'s Best Companies for Diversity and Inclusion. I'm personally very, very proud of that one, given all the work and personal investment I've done the past 9 years in that space and consumer recruiting, to how we support, again, women in leadership, families, et cetera. So that investment within our culture and employees is externally recognized, which we're very proud of. And slide 12 really shows how, again, the culture of what we are developing with our employees really is trying to exemplify, and I like to say, where we can walk the talk. So we are trying to ensure the world is healthy, and we have a goal, actually, by 2020 of cultivating the world's healthiest workforce. And so how do we really embody much of what we're trying to share and educate and move forward with people that, again, use and buy our products, the institutions and organizations that we work with? So that's everything from health. We have a really wonderful platform called Energy for Performance. I've actually been through the program, and it's transformational on really how you think about not only time management, but energy management, and how that makes you not only a more productive employee, but more productive in your life as you look for balance with your family, et cetera. And that's something that all of our employees have exposure and platforms that we can take advantage of. We are a company that is competitive when it comes to performance-based compensation and reward. Of course, that's even stronger when you have really great performance and contributing to the business. And then a number of different leadership areas where we really look to ensure the lifestyle of our employees is being supported. So everything from parental leave, both maternal and paternal parental leave, which I'm glad a lot of my male coworkers take advantage of. I've had several friends go through adoption processes, fertility, all types of, again, life moments that are supported by our organization. And these are things that I can truthfully say I don't know if we're at the top of my list I was thinking about when I was coming out of business school or going through my recruiting process, and they have increasingly become more important as I manage my family and continue to advance my career. So just, again, a great aspect of our culture that we will continue to focus on. Okay. And if we transition to slide 13, this just really shows, so on one end, there's the experience as an employee trying to exemplify the healthy lifestyle and the balance that we are sharing with our consumers. And then there's the contribution that you have an opportunity to make as an employee. And just one of these stories that I'll actually highlight is Dana Pels, who's the young woman in the middle of the slide. And I actually worked with Dana on a campaign. She was hired into one of our leadership development programs, and shortly before she started, she was actually diagnosed with cancer. And so she went through over a year journey, of course, of getting treatment, et cetera. Her job was held for her. And so when she started with J&J, feisty and healthy, she is such a fighter, she brought that passion into the organization, right, and became a champion for a lot of the work in cancer. So I worked with her on a campaign, actually, called Give a Spit About Cancer, that was really about inspiring young people to become bone marrow donors. And she's told her story across J&J and actually even gone overseas and done a number of volunteering projects that we have with several organizations in Brazil, again, working and contributing in her area of passion based off her life experience. So those numbers are really endless across our employees within J&J. We tend to have people that are very passionate and really great to have an organization where you can make and find an area to make that contribution. Okay. And then slide 14 shows, and we talked about leadership and diversity and inclusion, but a lot of the employee resource groups, ERGs, what we call them, that we have across the organization, affinity groups that really allows you to connect into a community and, again, find that mentorship, that support, that network that will really help you thrive, have safe places for conversation, discussion, career conversation, et cetera. And these have been something that's really been a staple within our culture and organization, and very much a place of even leadership opportunity to be engaged in. Okay. So we'll move right on to the third component of our credo, which is about our responsibility to our communities. This is an area that I very much work closely with in my current role, again, thinking about how we lift up the total J&J brand and the work that we do across the world. And it's really interesting working in this current role. So much of what we do, many people don't know. We actually don't always externally expose it. It's just been so much of the fabric of the company and what we've done kind of from day one. Every year we give just about $1 billion in cash and product contributions to a little over 550 organizations around the world globally. Many of those organizations local to ensure that it's connected to local communities and that reaches the end consumer. We've developed about 26 new health education programs that we've launched in 20 countries. That's everything from one program is around educating nurses and midwives who are actually on the front lines of delivering babies in many countries, particularly underserved communities in third world countries where that infrastructure needs to be more supported. From ensuring that the way that we use resources with clean energy contribution to a number of different health and wellness initiatives that we have. So this is where we really deliver on that impact that we have in our local and global communities. And it is a constant conversation within Johnson & Johnson of how do we really do our part as a global citizen and make the best impact that we can with the resources we have. And slide 16 actually just shows a bit of our commitment areas. So we actually designed 5-year goals for ourselves in this area of our social and community impact in the categories of people, places, and practices. And we rate and metric ourselves against the progress that we're making every 5 years. And so we're now on track to meet a number of our goals for 2020. And every year we actually have an external agency come in and audit us to ensure that what we've committed to is actually being progressed. That auditing process is very detailed. I've had to go through it. In slide 17, again, this shows from this past year in our Health Humanity Report, which we published, the progress that we're making, some of the different areas that we've been able to meet some of our goals and our contributions. Okay. And then being a bit mindful of time, I'll move right on to slide 18, and this is the final slide in this area of community impact, and it's actually one of the programs and platforms that I am leading this year. It's called Global Citizen. And just an example of how we leverage some of the partnerships and organizations that we work with, really driving more towards coalitions, realizing that we actually can't solve every issue alone, but there's great organizations that we can partner with and really drive even more impact. And Global Citizen is an organization, for those of you who may not be familiar, that really is aiming to eradicate poverty. And they have 8 issue areas, health being one of those, and we are their primary partner for health. And what they do is they really get a great movement of people, very socially engaged and conscious, to take action to help contribute to the advancement of these issues. I like to say they very, in a very classy way, help people stalk their government to really put pressure on decisions that need to be made. So they may galvanize 40,000 people to send a tweet to a certain government official in Rwanda to ensure their commitment to advancing clean water is really being made. And what's really great is that every year they actually hold a very great festival, and you can't buy a ticket to that festival. You actually earn your ticket through the social actions that you take throughout the year. And this year we're partnering with their festival and all the great actions that they're taking as their health partner. That festival is happening in New York on September 29th, and Janet Jackson is actually going to be headlining, and we'll be making a stage announcement before her performance. And then we're doing a second activation in South Africa this year to celebrate Nelson Mandela's 100th centennial, which would have been this past July. And that festival is being headlined by Jay-Z and Beyonce. So very, very thankful that we're able to really be a part of such a cultural moment, again, raising the conversation and issue of health, particularly our work in HIV. Okay. And then the final, almost final slide is really on 19. Again, just, going through the whole philosophy of our credo is that if we do those first 3 things, really take care of our customers that we serve, our employees and communities, that we will make a fair return. And we have been fortunate to be a very stable and growing company, showing that, if we, again, keep those commitments, that it's possible to ensure that you can both do good in the world and do well in your business. And that is our ultimate goal. And slide 20 just showing some of the growth that we've experienced. We've actually had 34 consecutive years of adjusted operational earnings growth. That's a tall order to continue to meet every year, but through our innovation and some of our really great acquisitions, we've been able to continue that trajectory, which is great. Okay. And the final slide that I'll leave you all with is really thinking about, again, that conversation we started at the beginning, is finding the right opportunity. And hopefully you've gathered a bit more about who we are, what we do, what we care about, and potentially some areas that you can be a part of it. So we'll have opportunities for you to consider across internships, full-time opportunities, and leadership programs. I believe towards the end of the webinar, there'll be more information there, and then certainly at the conference. So look forward to meeting many of you and seeing how you explore whether or not Johnson & Johnson is a place where you can also make an impact in the world of health. Okay. So with that, I will actually transition over to Elliot Campbell, my friend and consumer, and have him do a bit of a deeper dive into the consumer experience.
Awesome. Thank you, Megan. Look, I think to transition from what Megan said, I think you all should just give yourselves a pat on the back. Like, this is an amazing opportunity that you have in front of you. I can't think of too many more opportunities that you'll have in your life where you have access and exposure to some of the leading corporate companies in corporate America. So congratulations, and hopefully we provide all the information that you need to make an informed decision. And so I'm, as Megan mentioned, Elliot, I was in you all's shoes a few years ago. I've been with Johnson & Johnson for a little over a year now. I came to J&J after graduating from Harvard Business School. While I was at HBS, I spent my summer internship interning in consumer on Listerine. So kind of definitely know kind of the experience really intimately, and happy to answer any questions that you may have after we walk through the slides. So if we move to slide 23, look, I think the internship in consumer is an awesome experience. Look, I can't promise you Beyonce or Jay-Z or Janet Jackson like Megan mentioned, but we think we've got some really exciting projects and opportunities for you if you're interested in consumer. So the consumer program, it's an 11-week internship. In the bulk of that internship, you'll spend your time focusing on coming up with a recommendation to a real business solution. And I think the way I like to describe the project, it's really like an 11-week case study. And so as you go to business school, you'll spend a ton of time doing case studies. And the internship at J&J really is like a very in-depth case study that you'll do over the summer. And I think the one thing similar to a lot of case studies is it truly is a real business problem. So, for example, my summer when I was on Listerine, my project was to come up with a recommendation for what Listerine should do with their Listerine portables business. And that was it. It was as broad as that. I literally could come up with anything I wanted to do. There wasn't a ton of guidance. It was up to me to provide the recommendation. Spent the summer learning more about the business, networking with people throughout the companies. As I'm sure you've probably heard by now, J is a very relationship-driven company, so a lot of information resides in the people. And so that can be a time-consuming process in some ways, but it's also great to meet people and build relationships. For example, Megan and I have started a really close relationship and a mentor relationship just because I got to know her really well over the summer through the course of my project. It happened to be one of her passion points. So it's really helpful to kind of help you learn and also grow your career. And then the other part of the intern is you also have a ton of kind of networking opportunities with J&J executives. You get a lot of exposure to senior leaders within the consumer organization. It's a great opportunity to kind of hear their story, hear why they're still at J&J, get advice about how you should think about the opportunity at J&J and your career beyond. There's also a lot of feedback and coaching. I think one of the things that's really important to us is to make sure that you leave that 11-week experience and learned a lot about not only like Johnson & Johnson, the business, but like learn a lot about yourself and kind of like what your strengths are and opportunities for you to develop. So feedback and coaching is a really big emphasis. And I think the last piece, which I can't overstate, is it's an opportunity to have fun with a really diverse group of people, and that's your summer associate class. So for the most part, a lot of summer associates, you live in different, based on your location, they try to kind of co-locate, so you'll live near a lot of the other summer associates for the summer. There are different events planned for you all to kind of bond and build relationships. So it's just a really great time. You'll have people from all different types of backgrounds, all different nationalities. So it's really cool to be around such a diverse group of thinkers and people to kind of get to know. And a lot of those people will end up coming back and working full time with you. So you'll have really strong relationships there. And then the last thing is that as it relates to locations, we're spread out across the U.S. basically on the coast. So you a location in Fort Washington, Pennsylvania, is our over-the-counter OTC business, like the Tylenols and the Motrins of the world. You've got New Brunswick, New Jersey, which is where all of our global consumer businesses sit. And then you've got Skillman, New Jersey, which is where I'm located, and that's a lot of what we call our healthy businesses, so Band-Aid, Listerine, Johnson's Baby. And then out on the West Coast, we have a portion of our beauty business, which is kind of where Neutrogena sits. So there's kind of an opportunity in various locations. I will say the way it works is they won't typically guarantee the location, but the goal of the selection process is to make sure that you do get kind of your first or second choice. So just be mindful of that. I mean, I think the sooner that you kind of know what your preference is and where you would like to be, definitely feel free to voice that as you're meeting folks at J&J, as that will be something that we definitely take into consideration, as we know it's really important to each of you. So if we go to the next slide, please. So we want to do quickly here is just to provide a little bit more info on the projects that you'll be working on. And it's really the whole gamut. So it can be anywhere from a digital focused project where you're focusing on social. Like I said, we have global projects, so you could be thinking about how should Aveeno for launch a product in a different market outside the United States. There's like CRM strategy projects. There tends to be a lot of multicultural strategy projects, just given how the U.S. continues to diversify and the importance of bringing in multicultural consumers. So it's really a lot. I mean, I think the big thing that I'll emphasize is these are real problems. So your recommendation is more than likely going to end up in the business plan of the business that you're on the following year. I remember the recommendation I put forth my summer while I was there around kind of what we should do in the strategy. I came back after I graduated from business school, and there literally were slides for my summer presentation and that year's business plan, like literally verbatim. So it was pretty cool to see that what I spent a lot of time and energy on that summer truly was valuable to the business. And I think the other benefit of that is people are more than willing to connect with you and help you on the project, because a lot of the projects that we give are things that we know that we need to do and that we need to happen. It's just other priorities kind of prevent us from spending as much time to think about it as we should. So it's a huge opportunity to make an impact. So it's something that you should really be excited about. And I think it's a question that you should ask all companies as you go throughout this process, just to learn more about the quality and the rigor of the projects that you'll be spending a lot of time on. If we can move to the next slide. So what I want here was just kind of give you a one-pager about like what it is that we're looking for and what the immediate next steps are. So when it comes to what we're looking for, we're really looking for leaders. And I think that has become even more and more important as we move into a world where you kind of need to be a jack of all trades. I think the general manager emphasis is continuing to increase within the consumer business. So we're looking for someone that has leadership potential, but at the same time, works really well with people. Brand management is an incredibly cross-functional role. I think it's amplified by the fact that at J&J it's relationship-oriented. You literally can't get anything done at Johnson & Johnson without working with other people. So it's important to know how to work with people and to find win-win solutions. So I think teamwork is incredibly important to us. We also want strategic and analytical thinkers. I think that's kind of self-explanatory in many ways. We're in a very challenging operating environment. So it's also incredibly important that we have people that are creative and are willing to bring new ideas and think about things in a way that we haven't done it before, especially when it comes to digital and e-commerce. There's just massive opportunity for us to kind of catch up to some of our competition in that space. And that kind of leads to the last one, the entrepreneurial mindset. We're looking for people who are comfortable operating in ambiguity, who are comfortable taking risks, and who are really looking to be owners. I think it's a owner's mentality is what I like to think of it as, is the brand that you own, the business that you own, like you own that business and you own that portion of the business, and it's up to you to make sure that you lead that process and achieve superior outcomes. So if that sounds like you, and highly encourage you to submit your resume and also reach out to myself or anybody else at J&J if you're interested in learning more. I'm always happy to take time to talk to anybody on this call that wants to learn more about consumer. And as it relates to next steps, again, please submit your resume. We'll be doing interviews at National Black, and it'll be the first round is two 45-minute interviews with two different brand managers, and the last round is a final round interview with the director, and we try to get back to you pretty quickly about the decision. So with that, again, glad to have the opportunity to speak to you all. Hope to hear from those that are interested in consumer. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to my friend Tiffany to talk a little bit more about pharma and the commercial experience.
Thank you so much, Elliot. I am very excited to be speaking to you tonight. Everyone, thank you for your time with my team about Johnson & Johnson, and specifically today about the pharma sector, Janssen. Next slide, Crystal. So who is Janssen? Janssen, as I mentioned, is the pharmaceutical sector of Johnson & Johnson. At the heart of everything we do and where our focus is, we are innovative. We are focused on serious unmet medical needs and finding medications to help people live a happy and healthier life. We are collaborative. We connect our expertise not only internally, but we also leverage external resources to be able to learn from others and how those learnings could be applied to our medicines. And lastly, we're caring. People are the first priority that we have, and our goal of improving health worldwide is what keeps us focused doing our jobs every day. Next slide, Crystal. We are very proud about the areas in which we are focused our medications on. Our focus is really on some of the most complex, deadly, and debilitating diseases of our time. As someone mentioned earlier, it is a very rewarding experience to be working closely with patients, to be able to better, their treatments or just their everyday life, because they are living with things as reflected on this slide. It is very rewarding for us to get a better understanding, too, from our patients on how we can continuously improve their everyday life and their struggles with their diseases. Next slide, Crystal. We are very proud of the portfolio of medications and our innovative and differentiated medicines that we have. And if you look, the slide showcases 11 of our drugs can be found on the World Health Organization's Essential Medicines list. We are really ahead of a lot of our competitors, trying to ensure that we are getting the best, most ethical products out to our patients in their fight against different disease areas. Next slide, Crystal. So I'm here to talk to you today about the ECLDP program overview. That acronym, because we do have a lot within Johnson & Johnson, stands for Experienced Commercial Leadership Development Program. There are two parts to our program. One is an internship, which leads into a full-time rotational opportunity. So let me first talk a little bit about the internship. So our internship is a 12-week opportunity to gain some commercial or marketing experience, and you would be part of one of our pharmaceutical therapy area teams in helping to establish numerous different projects and case studies across our portfolio of medications. We do have a very rigorous program in which people come in. Usually it's in late May. They spend 12 weeks with us going through a variety of learnings, on-the-job trainings, senior leadership interactions, as well as consistent networking and opportunities to learn more and more about the pharmaceutical sector. We do have cross-collaboration activities planned as well with some of our other sectors, which gives people a nice overall feel of the community and the outreach within J&J. If someone is successful in the internship, we do ask them upon completion of that internship to come back full-time upon graduation. We seek candidates, and I think one of our slides coming up will showcase exactly what our qualifications are, but we do seek individuals that are in between their first and second year of MBA school. So with that being said, upon a completion of the internship, if everything goes well, we would ask you to come back and join the full-time ECLDP rotational program. Our rotational program consists of 2 rotations in diverse commercial experiences, and it's really tailored to everyone's individual development needs as well as their development plans. So we recognize that everyone's career trajectory is unique and different, and to them. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that we cater to people's interests and ensure that we're giving them a breadth of experience. So some of the rotations can be in places like analytics. They can be in brand marketing. They could be in field sales. We have opportunities for people to even work in our global organization. And while most cases the global organization placements would be based in the U.S., they do interact heavily with our ex-U.S. markets, giving them that diverse experience that just is, builds credibility as you take that into your next role. And then after your 2 rotations, you would be placed within a commercial function. And at that point, you do become part of our ECLDP community of alums with a continuous opportunity to leverage internal relationships, relationships with senior leaders, and also have a built-in network as you think about career trajectory and about different opportunities that you may seek in our different divisions. We do have a lot of senior leaders that support this program, so this is something in which it is a heavily supported and it's also appreciated because we know the value of having talent come in with the innovation and the potential to be future leaders in the organization at some point. Okay, next slide, Crystal. So our internship experience, as I mentioned, has a lot of different opportunities for people to go through a formal orientation, work on a critical project within one of our key commercial functions. We do a lot of social trips. So, we go to an ad agency in New York City where people learn the value of partnership with agencies and how that might fit into your day-to-day should you be on a consumer marketing brand role. We put people through value excellence training, which is the foundation of the way our commercial teams think and the structure in which our marketing foundation is built. Team building days, mentorship programs. We not only set you up with executives who will mentor you throughout the summer and also throughout your rotations if you're full-time, but we also give people peer mentors. I think our interns specifically find a lot of value out of talking to people that were in their shoes not so long ago and can really help them navigate and assess exactly what they want to do and how they want to do it in their 12 weeks with us. We also have opportunities for people to go off-site to do case competitions. It's usually one of the most favorite activities that we have, in which we give people a real business challenge that our current teams are working on and put it out there, break the interns into teams, and have them friendly compete against each other to come up with proposals and recommendations. Historically, we've had some great opportunities to hear very innovative ways of thinking, which our leaders have used input from our interns to be able to think through plans once they leave. And the final presentation. So our internship will close with individuals doing a final presentation to the broader Janssen community, usually consisting of a lot of leaders, business leads, HR leads, as well as the people that supported them throughout their internship. People usually get very nervous for their final presentations, but after all is said and done, it's a great way to demonstrate and showcase exactly what you've done and worked on for the 12 weeks. And it's an opportunity to really help shape, what that continuous work can be once you leave. After 12 weeks, sometimes people feel like they're just starting to make a dent in what they want to accomplish. But there have been many times in which the work continues on through the hands of others because it's just so solid, and it's a great way that we feel we could be very different in the marketplace. Next slide, Crystal. Okay, so our candidate profile, what exactly are we looking for? So we do look for MBA talent that has at least 4 years of prior work experience before going back to business school. We do look for people that are, an MBA that is enrolled full-time, that are between first and second year of MBA school for the 2019 internship program. We're looking for people that have strategic thinking, that can use influence skills with the ability to execute plans effectively. Having 12 weeks to complete a project that are very robust usually requires and really allows us visibility into someone's skill set to be able to do this. You will need to make sure you effectively plan out each step and each week along the way in order to reach your deliverable at the end of the internship. We look for demonstrated examples of working in a matrixed environment. We don't like to work in silos. We are very collaborative. We are a very networked organization, which means that you can learn from others. So we want to make sure that people are reaching out to the right stakeholders and gaining insights from people that could potentially help them think through their project and maybe think a little bit differently. Analytical skills, cycles of success in a professional environment, people that have excellent business communication skills that are focused on clear, concise, and well-organized plans. And I think lastly, intellectual curiosity. People that want to understand and challenge status quo. I think if we are going to continue to build upon our reputation in the marketplace, we need to drive that innovation forward, and we need to change the way in which we've been doing things to keep up with our dynamic healthcare environment. Last slide, Crystal. But above all, I think, what the pharmaceutical sector can offer is people to come in and take pride in knowing that the products that they're working on and the projects that they may be placed on are helping millions of people around the world to deal with some of mankind's most devastating illness. Many people's families, loved ones, have been personally impacted by some of the therapy areas in which we work. So you can share this pride with us and hopefully join one of our amazing commercial teams this summer, and we would love to meet you at the National Black Conference coming up at the end of September. And with that being said, I'd like to pass the presentation over to Imad for our Med Device division.
Great. Thank you so much, and good evening, everyone. Let me add my welcome as well. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your evening, your afternoon to join us. I'd like to give you just a brief overview of our medical device sector, one of the three sectors that was highlighted earlier within Johnson & Johnson. Let's go to the next slide. So we have the good fortune of having the largest medical device business across the industry, and it is comprised of three sectors: Ethicon, DePuy Synthes, and CSS. In total, they account for roughly $26 billion in revenue and growing, and we, as I mentioned, represent the largest surgical orthopedic medical device business across the world. We have a footprint of roughly 57 manufacturing locations around the globe and a workforce that accounts for almost half of all of Johnson & Johnson. So of the roughly 130,000 employees we have around the world, about 60,000 of them reside within the medical device sector. And if you look at the products and platforms and just the various technologies that exist within med device, and they're listed at the bottom of this slide, what we're particularly proud of is that we play a leadership role in each of these platforms. We are either the number 1 or number 2 player in each of these platforms and businesses. And they range the gamut in medical device, from the products that are used in your everyday surgery to the products that are used in cancer treatment. Within our orthopedics business, they range from trauma, which can happen any time of day, any time of year, to more predictable treatments like hip and knee replacements. And all of these, again, represent leading technologies, leading platforms, and leading ways of innovation, really, in all of these products and platforms. If we go to the next slide, a little bit more detail on each of these 3 businesses, or sort of subsectors within the larger medical device sector. So Ethicon, which is our surgical business, again, the number 1 player in this space. Some of the products used there, or platforms, are used in cancer resection, in bariatric surgeries, so an increasing or growing space within broader surgery. And then Ethicon was also one of the largest, or first innovators, I should say, in robotic and laparoscopic surgery. So again, on the forefront in its respective space, in this case, surgical procedures. The DePuy Synthes orthopedics business, where that I call home, where my role and my team resides, largely known for joint reconstruction, so anything from knee, hip, elbow, shoulder replacement. The components that are used to get you back to an active lifestyle in any of these joint reconstruction procedures are largely made by DePuy Synthes. I lead our U.S. trauma and craniomaxillofacial business, and our patients are folks that we interact with in largely the most vulnerable moments of life, after major car accidents, major traumatic injuries. And DePuy Synthes is the largest player in each of these respective spaces, and our plates and screws and nails are used literally every 2 seconds across the country. A DePuy Synthes product is used to put somebody back together after a traumatic incident. But also our products are used in spine care, whether it be for scoliosis or typical everyday spine surgeries. Our products are in the forefront of the spine space, as well as sports, and as well as typical orthopedic procedures, again, involving reconstruction. And finally, the cardiovascular and specialty solution space. So for cardiovascular procedures like AFib, cardiac arrhythmias, as well as infection prevention, plastic surgery solutions, and a lot of stroke solutions. The CSS organization based on the West Coast is a leader in the forefront of cardiovascular solutions. And Crystal, if we go to the next slide, you can see a footprint of where these businesses reside across the United States. So if we start with Ethicon and the surgery businesses, they are based out of Cincinnati, Ohio, or Somerville, New Jersey, about 45 minutes outside of New York City. The DePuy Synthes orthopedics business, our joint reconstruction business, is based in Warsaw, Indiana, which, useless trivia for you, is the U.S. capital of orthopedics. Basically, every large orthopedics manufacturer has a presence or an office in Warsaw, Indiana. We have a pretty large office in Westchester, Pennsylvania, the office I work out of, which is where our trauma and CMF, as well as a number of administrative businesses, run out of Westchester, Pennsylvania. And then about a half hour, 45 minutes outside of Boston, in Raynham, our sports and our spine orthopedics businesses are based up there. And I mentioned a moment ago that CSS, the cardiovascular business, is based in Irvine, about 45 minutes south of Los Angeles. Let's transition to the next slide, because what I'm really excited to share with you is our MLDP, or Marketing Leadership Development Program. It's been in place for a number of years, and I have to confess, has been impressively successful in bringing just very strong talent into our marketing, into our orthopedics and device businesses. We are typically looking for MBA candidates who have about 3 years of full-time experience, and we're not looking for any cookie-cutter marketing-only background. We're really looking for people with diverse skill sets and backgrounds, but who have some real-world, real-life experience. Definitely strong analytical and interpersonal or soft skills, and the way we oftentimes phrase it within med device is we're looking for corporate athletes. We're looking for folks who we can drop into any business, any environment, as simple or as complicated as it may be, and they can figure it out themselves. They have the agility to be able to figure out the market dynamics and the business themselves. And frankly, within J&J, whether it be within med device or other sectors, that really is the profile, the agile learner that we're looking for across the entire enterprise. In terms of program details, it is impressive how much access our interns and our marketers have to senior management. This is a relatively flat organization. It is definitely a roll up your sleeves and get things done organization. And as a result, you have quite a bit of access to senior leadership, all the way up to the president and, in fact, the global sector lead for med device. It's not uncommon for our interns to have informal and sometimes formal interactions with some of the most senior leaders within med device. And finally, we really do view this as our pipeline for leadership and for marketing talent across med device. And so the entire organization, from the experience, from the time that we invest in mentorship and coaching and training folks in the MLDP program, we really do view this as our largest pipeline and asset of new talent into the organization. If we transition to the next slide, the way that the MLDP program is built within med device is in these three steps. So we invite folks to come in for a 10 to 12-week summer internship, either in the U.S. or global marketing organizations at any of the campuses that I highlighted a moment ago. And we give them an opportunity to get hands-on experience managing a project, as was shared with both the consumer and the pharma sectors, but with a lot of training and coaching and I'm reluctant to call it hand-holding, but really guidance as to how the med device space operates, because it is distinctly different from pharma and from consumer. Our interns are given a very specific deliverable and project that they are asked to execute over the course of the summer, and then they provide their recommendations to our senior leadership. And again, this is one of the opportunities that we afford for folks to have access to some of the most senior leaders within med device. Depending on how well that 10 or 12-week internship period goes, we invite folks to come back to become full-time MLDPs. And now to clarify, this is a full-time J&J employee. And what we do over the first 2 years of the MLDP experience is break them up into 3 8-month rotations, where you have an ability to rotate through either the U.S. marketing, the global marketing, the strategic alliances group. Sometimes we send people out into the field so they can get real sales experience, which involves, by the way, spending a lot of time in the operating room side by side with surgeons, seeing how our products are used, to a whole host of other functions within med device that folks have access to gaining exposure to. And once they successfully complete that 2-year or 3 8-month rotation process, they are then catapulted directly into the marketing organization as a full-fledged marketing manager or product director managing one of our businesses. And that can range from something the size of a few $1 million to, in some cases, we have recent graduates who are managing multi-million, in some cases over $100 million businesses, given the strength of their experience and their performance. So again, this is a very real pipeline for us of top talent into our organization. And if we transition to the next slide, I will actually pause there and turn it over to one of my colleagues in Human Resources, Lucy Duncan.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that, and I'm so pleased to be with all of you tonight. So, Crystal, if you just mind advancing the slides to HLDP, I look forward to sharing and introducing this program to all of you. Just as we move into the slides and get started, I think that many of you might feel pretty comfortable that you know what HR means And you might even think that, perhaps it's not a space that you've thought about before. But I am thrilled to be able to be here to share HRLDP with you, because this is a truly unique and transformative program through which you can shape the future of work. So my name is Lucy Duncan. I'm a graduate of the HRLDP, and I'm also very privileged to be the HRLDP Global Program Leader. I'm hopeful that my experience will be a good illustration to you of the way that we hire for this program, because I am an Australian. I did the HRLDP in Europe. I now work in the US. I did an MBA and a law degree, but I have never studied HR in my life. However, after several years in corporate law and a lot of real career soul searching, much like the journey that you're all on now, I knew that I wanted to develop people and drive talent in the service of a mission that really meant something to me and hopefully to the world at large. And HRLDP offered me that opportunity, so I'm really looking forward to sharing it with you. So once we move forward to slides, what I'd love to do is give you a vision of how the program operates, and then I can share some details of our profile. So our administrator there, are we having any luck moving forward the slides, or is just that the vision on my end? We'll keep moving forward and hopefully the slides will catch up. So just starting to share with you what our program does and how we operate. Firstly, our goal is to build our pipeline of HR leaders. It is to be the directors and the vice presidents of the future. Most HRLDP start through an internship, which is 12 weeks over the Northern Hemisphere summer. So we assign you to teams to tackle critical project work in areas that might range from things like our acquisitions and divestiture strategy, or talent management, or workforce analytics, or even farm or medical devices research and development. So after completing your internship, through which you have a fantastic cohort experience and you come together with different activities to really get to know our business and our function, as well as undertaking your role, you'll go back to school and spend your year there, and then hopefully be able to come back and join us with a full-time offer for HRLDP. So just talking you through the program experience for our full-time experienced HRLDP. I'd like to just make a call out that our experienced HRLDP is one of two program streams that we have. The experience program is for students who are at a graduate level, who are quite experienced in their careers already, for example, have 5 or more years of working experience, and it would be looking to join an organisation at a mid-level, leader level. Our foundational HRLDP is at a much earlier career level. That's a level at which you're much earlier in career. You may have an MBA or a master's degree, but only have a little bit of prior working experience. So talking through our full-time HRLDP, that is the experience level, which would be most of this group of you tonight, we have 3 very diverse, differentiated rotations over 2 years of accelerated development. So we work really hard to try and personalise rotations that will suit your interests and development areas, as well as provide you with really robust, differentiated experiences that help prepare you for life after graduation. This includes a rotation as a business partner. It includes rotations in our corporate services space, and at times also in our global services space. One of the really unique features of HRLDP is our deep global community collaboration. So we have a community of almost 100 now of participants on the program and in the HRLDP community, and a fantastic part of the overall HRLDP experience is building that connectivity and those networks with your peers locally and around the world. You participate in training with them, you participate in projects and really drive initiatives to help shape the HRLDP community. And you also participate in global residencies where you come together 5 times over the course of your 2-year program to experience some really differentiated development focused on a sector or a market. For example, in March, we took 25 people to China to get to know J&J China, to learn about the external market, the talent challenges of the Asia-Pacific region. And shortly, we'll be heading to San Francisco for a residency focused on the healthcare technology space. So these are fantastic elements of our curriculum, which are also supplemented by external coaching and a very high degree of leadership exposure at both the mid and most senior level leaders, because this program is sponsored by and very, very much the passion of our HR Executive Committee. Of course, beyond the program, the journey absolutely does not stop there. So once you graduate from the program, you are an alum. You're part of this close community that continues to have differentiated access to development opportunities, leadership exposure, and our community. And of course, the kinds of roles that you might take after graduation are very diverse and span our entire HR function. So when I graduated, I was in talent management for medical devices in Europe. One of my cohort is the Chief of Staff to our Head of HR, and I have peers in specialist centres of excellence and supporting our businesses and functions like med devices and consumer and supply chain and finance across the organisation. Of course, ultimately the goal is for this program to develop our pipeline of HR leaders. So our goal is to really help prepare you both through the program experience and as an alum for roles of increasing complexity and responsibility. We want you to be able to keep advancing your career at a healthy pace and ultimately be the directors and vice presidents in HR in our organisation. So, Crystal, if you'd be able to advance forward to the next slide, that would be fantastic. I think I'm having some connectivity issues, which is why I'm not able to see. So, moving on to our third slide, what I'd love to do is just share a little bit more about our hiring information. So, firstly, I want to call out that previous HR experience is not a requirement of this program. While it is absolutely very helpful, only 50% of the alumni of this program ever worked in HR before they joined. We hire from a very broad variety of backgrounds. We have people who were in consulting, people who were in business or ran their own businesses. We have engineers. We have people who worked in the defense industry, psychologists, teachers, leaders from the not-for-profit sector. There's a very, very diverse background that we look for. And, I experienced this myself because on my very first day in the company, my boss told me that it did not matter if I knew anything about HR at all, because my role was to bring big ideas to the table and to ask questions and to challenge our businesses to always be better. So, in terms of the level at which we'd be looking for you to join, as our experienced HRLDP entry point is for mid-level leaders, we do have a very strong preference for 5 or more years of prior experience. And our average is around 6.5, but there is no upper limit. So you might have had 5 years or 10 years of experience. But we do ideally ask for around that 5 or more year level. We're a global program, of course, and we have opportunities in varying countries across all our regions. So in the region, so Europe, Middle East and Africa, and Latin America and the Asia-Pacific region, the needs of that region will determine the countries in which internship opportunities are available. You are able to join either our internship or our full-time program. But a call out that I would like to make is that we do not sponsor for our internship or full-time roles. So we hire individuals who have permanent working rights in the country where they'll complete their internship and then consider the individual for a full-time offer, generally starting in that country. So just wanted to clarify that if you are a student who is not from the US and doesn't have permanent working rights, we still really, really want to hear from you because we have opportunities in other regions and we are a global program recruiting globally, so we're really keen to hear from all of you. And when we think about the kinds of capabilities that we're looking for to help shape the future of work through HR at J&J, a couple that I'd like to call out are our curiosity. We want you to be able to have a natural drive to really deeply engage in industry conversation and thought leadership around human capital trends, so you can help apply those insights to shaping the future of work at J&J. Of course, a strong leadership aptitude is critical, so you have the ability to engage and mobilize and influence across local and global teams, and to be able to be someone who can take risks and challenge the status quo, can manage the ambiguity of our business world. Business acumen itself is, of course, fundamental. Those sophisticated critical and strategic thinking skills, analytic skills, and problem-solving skills. 80% of our alumni for this program have MBAs, and that's, really very much the profile that we're looking for. Your learning agility, so that you're able to quickly ramp up across the 3 rotations and then have impact early in your roles, very important, and a strong drive to shape innovative solutions. So now that I've shared a little bit about my background, about the HRLDP journey and our hiring profile, I hope that I have piqued your interest in shaping the future of work at J&J through HRLDP and as business leaders within the function of HR. This offers you the opportunity to be a person who develops the talent strategy to accelerate leaders in our emerging markets, or builds a playbook to help assess the culture of organizations that we're acquiring so we can best help those acquired employees to transition to J&J. You might be the person that gets to coach the business leader who is developing our robotics platform and help attract scientists specifically in a therapeutic area where we're really looking to have global impact. So as a graduate of the program and the leader now, I think this is incredibly exciting work because everything at J&J is driven by our people, and HR is the area that attracts people, develops them, advances and retains them, and so it's fundamental to everything that we do at J&J. So with all that being said, I'd strongly encourage you to consider HRLDP and to apply for an internship in the region where you're able to work. We will be interviewing at the National Black MBA with a big team there to help answer your questions, so that if you are thinking about or just curious to explore HRLDP, we'd love to see you there. And if you are ready to apply, we'd love to have you apply online for our internship at our careers website. So thank you all for taking the time to learn about and share my passion for HRLDP today. Now I would love to hand over to my colleague Daniel Schenkman, a leader in our US brand marketing space, to introduce you to J&J Vision.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for the opportunity to present, and we'll try and catch up a little bit on time, but I'm really excited to talk to you about our vision care business and our internship and full-time hire opportunities that we're recruiting through National Black. If we want to move to the next slide. So one of the things, a little bit about my background, I've had the opportunity to work across internationally in J&J and across sectors, including time in pharmaceuticals. And one of the things that I found unique about the vision care business is that it's really this unique blend of being able to reach healthcare professionals, both on the doctor and eye care professional space, as well as consumers in the retail environment. So really a unique opportunity to cross a lot of the customer groups and customer types that you'll find in other J&J businesses as well. AccuView and the vision care business is sometimes not always seen as the largest piece of the J&J pie, but AccuView in the U.S. is a massive business, a market leader, and among the highest and most profitable businesses that we have. The internship programs themselves, there's a lot of opportunity to, similarly to other programs, about having the opportunity to really shape a project over the course of 12 weeks and deliver an idea or an opportunity that really has an impact on the business. This past summer, where we recruited a bunch of interns from National Black, the projects ranged from developing our artificial intelligence strategy to mass consumer advertising plans, and they really are a real great opportunity to not just showcase talent, but have that impact on the business. Again, similarly to some of the other programs that you've heard about, there are great networking and mentorship opportunities. We really want to make sure that we are preparing you for the opportunities that come next, hopefully within the vision care business and the full-time opportunities that come from it, and really have a lot of fun. It's an opportunity not just for us to sort of give interns a test drive, but for you to give our business a test drive as well. And something that's unique about vision care as well down here in Jacksonville is that because we have such close proximity with our global colleagues, they're on the same campus as us, and it's a very large campus that we have here, that you have the opportunity to work internationally on the projects that you have both as an intern and once you should you have the opportunity to come on full time. So with the assumption that the summer internship program is a success and you have the opportunity to move into a full-time marketing role, these roles, unlike some of the other LDP programs, are non-rotational by design. We really have done this intentionally with the hope of giving you the opportunity to shape the role to ensure that you have the chance to get depth and the experience in areas that you're passionate about, whether that's brand, professional, retail, innovation and pipeline, and really touch not just the U.S. business, but global businesses as well. And an exciting piece about that also is the opportunity for travel and relocation, and those are common experiences that we see for folks that have the opportunity to work down here. Jacksonville, I want to say don't sleep on Jacksonville. It's a great city to be a part of. Sometimes people don't know that it's a part of the J&J family as a campus. Having moved down from the north, there are a lot of pluses that one might imagine about being in the warm Florida climate, but it's a growing city with a lot of vibrant arts and culture, sports, a strong job market, and a great cost of living, and it's really been a little bit of a hidden gem for me in the J&J location world, so would really speak warmly about it. And in terms of what we're looking for the folks that we'd like to have join, again, that sort of passion for marketing. We're looking for folks between their first and second year with experience coming into their MBA, and a lot of the same sort of leadership characteristics that some of my other colleagues have touched on around analytics, that business acumen and experience, and really being ready to step in and take on opportunities on day one as full contributors to our business. So in terms of, how this compares to some of the other programs that we've looked at, again, sort of vision care is within the med device world as far as the three sectors that we talk about, but it's a little bit of that unique piece outside of the larger J&J ecosystem of some of the other offices, and that's also a great opportunity to sort of flex muscles in that entrepreneurial spirit that a couple of the other colleagues have talked about. So with that said, I think I'll turn it over to Winona on the procurement side and hope to see a lot of you on the floor at National Black in a couple weeks.
Thanks, Daniel. As Daniel said, I'm Winona Taylor. I'm with the Procurement Leadership Development Program, and I am definitely going to try to be short here so I can give my last colleague some time to introduce his program. So you can turn the page, Crystal. Just to give you a little brief overview of procurement, right? So you heard all these great things about our three sectors, consumer, medical, and pharma. So the great thing about working in procurement is you get to support, all of those sectors. So we are the trusted partners of our sectors to ensure that the products and services that they need to deliver not only the consumer products, but even some of the internal plus and activities that they need to get done. We are the trusted partners that help them to deliver that. And so being in procurement will allow you to really get exposure and understanding of what each of the sectors do. What we like to see in procurement is that, for you to get a really great in-depth and specialization in a business or in a product or service. And so our programs are really geared to around achieving that. So we've got two programs similar to my peers on the call. We've got the summer internship, and that's a 12-week program, and that's really centered around first-year MBA candidates. And really, there is to bring you in, and really, I think let us both kind of test each other on whether we're a great fit. As some of my colleagues have mentioned, it is definitely a team atmosphere here at J&J. So the summer internship gives you that ability to see if it is the right fit for you at J&J. And really similar to our full-time program, we do very much a lot of the same things. You'll have access to our leadership in procurement and in our businesses. You'll have mentorship. You'll have buddies assigned of people who can help to make sure your 12 weeks at J&J, you're easily able to join the team and have that team spirit. But also, we also give you leadership training in those short 12 weeks. So we hope that, your experience over those 12 weeks will allow you to want to come back to J&J and actually give us the ability to hire you straight from our internship to one of our full-time roles. But if you are in your second year of the MBA program, then you would probably want to consider our full-time program. And here, like Daniel's program in Vision Care, our program is non-rotational because we really would like for you to get that real expertise to be able to be that trusted partner to our businesses. And so the program is designed so that you have a year of learning and then a year of actually showing us that, you've mastered the program. And through those 2 years, you still are getting training, you're still getting mentorship, you're getting engagement with our leadership. And in the second year of your 2-year program, you're actually assigned a capstone project where, like some of the other programs you've talked about, these are real business needs where you will you'll be assigned in teams to work on a real business need and be able to deliver a solution for that business need as part of the graduation from the program. So what are we looking for in the Procurement Leadership Development Program? We like, and our preference really is to have individuals with 5 years full-time work experience. We find that that's really just the sweet spot for, candidates really being successful in the program. Similar to our other programs, we definitely want strong analytics. You must be able to collaborate because, again, most of what we do in procurement is collaboration with our either finance partners or our business partners. And having a great business acumen and being a strategic thinker is definitely a plus, and that's what we look for in our candidates. So if you're interested in PLDP, I'll certainly be at National Blacks. Please look for me, and if you have more questions. But if this sounds like a program that you really think is great and is a good fit for you, I strongly encourage you to go on our careers.com website and apply for the program. So now I'm going to turn it over to Philip.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I will try to be short as well. My name is Philip Holm, and I am in the Finance MBA LDP. So that's a little bit of an acronym mouthful, but you'll get used to that at J&J. Next slide, please. So for the Finance MBA LDP internship, we are, like many of the other programs, looking for people with 5 years of full-time work-related experience. And you do need to be a graduate student pursuing a full-time MBA with an expected graduation date of 2020. We're looking for leaders, and we are looking to develop those leaders. Now, that being said, we are looking for direct hires during November as well for the Finance MBA LDP. So we have both internship roles that lead into the LDP and full-time positions for the LDP program that we'll be recruiting for at November. So I know there were a lot of questions based around that I saw in the Q&A box, so I just wanted to address that up front. For the Finance MBA LDP summer internship, they do an absolute wonderful job of finding a strategic project for you to work on during your period of time, and often those projects are of the utmost priority at the vice president level for whatever organization you happen to be working in. That was the case for me during my internship. I got a chance to be the finance lead on a project where we launched products through a new sales channel. So it was a strategic initiative in that we were opening up a new sales channel with a different vendor in a company that was a new acquisition at the time that had been part of the J&J family of businesses for about a year. So I got to sit at the table with directors and senior directors from other functions and guide the conversation around my expertise and understanding of the financials, and then also just being a good business partner by questioning and helping other people to understand the finance perspective when we were talking about the deal that we were looking at. Besides that, we have a wide variety of potential assignments where you can support anything from, marketing to supply chain to procurement. You can have a corporate finance role as well. There's a wide variety of opportunities in the finance function at J&J. Which really allows you to learn the business in a way that can keep you engaged throughout your entire career. Another benefit of the internship in particular is that you will have a known result from your internship in terms of whether or not you'll be receiving an offer at the end of your internship, and oftentimes that's very useful when you're coming into your final year of your MBA program, so you're not scrambling to figure out what you're going to do next. So about the full-time finance MBA program, after you're done with your internship, you get the offer, you come back to J&J. It is a 4-year program in total, so we have 2-year rotations that the Finance MBA LDPs go through. During those rotations, you start as a finance manager, which is the role that I'm in now. After successfully completing 2 years, you'll get promoted to a senior finance manager, and the expectation is that you will have developed through your experiences a readiness to be a director upon completion of the program. So that's really an incredibly accelerated career path, but the assignments that you're given and the roles that you are given as part of the program come with a large amount of responsibility, and you're given very high visibility projects that you're expected to perform well on, but you're also given the support and the resources to do well. One of my other colleagues on the line had talked about J&J being a relationship-based company, and that's definitely the truth. At any point in time, you have to feel comfortable with reaching out to your business partners to gain insights, to ask questions, and to build those relationships. And my final note about the Finance MBA LDP is that we do have a very structured training program. Every quarter, we have either in-depth networking sessions or we have regimented training in terms of developing us to be the next leaders within the finance organization, so that we can really drive business impact. With that being said, I'd like to pass it off, and I thank you all so much for your time.
Thank you, Philip, and thank you all to our presenters this evening that presented on our amazing opportunities with J&J And also want to thank all of you for attending our webinar this evening. I know we are up a little bit over time, so I did want to address a few questions. A few of you asked how to apply. So you can apply directly to our careers website for any of the opportunities that we went over tonight. We will also have professional opportunities available at the conference. So those will be posted a little bit closer to the conference that you can apply to as well. And in addition to applying to the careers website, you'll also want to make sure you apply to the National Black website as well. And then our teams can, go ahead and go through your resumes and make the selections for interviews. And then you're also able to interact with our teams at the conference. We will have a lot of different engagement opportunities at the conference later on in September. And we are booth 1800, so certainly come and see us. We would love to engage with you personally. And then we would also want to address a few things that I know maybe a few of you had questions on. The locations are determined by the different roles and programs. So if you go to our careers website, you'll be able to get a further understanding of where those locations are if you didn't capture that in the slide deck today. And then we like I mentioned, we will have full-time opportunities as well as internships and professional opportunities. And you can view all of those opportunities online at the careers website and through the National Black website. So again, we want to thank you tonight, and I will turn it over to Tyler, and he will wrap us up.
Great. Thank you so much. And on behalf of NBMBAA and Johnson & Johnson, I would like to thank you all and our presenters for a great program. And thank you so much for your participation in today's event. This concludes today's program. Thank you all, and have a great day.